Democrats were no different than the Republicans. We got to oppose both of them. But now they've gone back to pre-Bernie times. I'm talking about the people who were Bernie fans. And Bernie himself has regressed.
We're somehow back to Obama.
We're back to...
How has Bernie regressed? You've just gone more extreme. I think that's all that's been happening. But no, Bernie Sanders is one of the few people who's consistently championed a whole bunch of left-wing issues. Unionization support, union busting and going after it, the huge wealth discrepancies that continue to happen, windfall taxes, trying to increase the minimum wage. That's all coming out of Bernie Sanders' mouth. You wouldn't have those kind of issues being something that most Americans talk about without a politician like Bernie Sanders bringing that to the forefront.
Okay, so guess what? This is Mark Ruffalo. So Mark Ruffalo is calling out the DNC, right? So Mark Ruffalo used to get it right. He used to know that both parties were corrupted and that we got to get out of this two-party thing. And so he starts tweeting this. He says that the DNC doesn't educate themselves on neoliberalism and start talking about how it
undo what? Join the People's Party?
Has failed us. Fascism is right around the corner. Democracy hasn't failed America. Neoliberalism masquerading as democracy has, and that's very well said.
Well, you know where you can see his dumbness is that he goes, the DNC, they need to educate themselves on neoliberalism. Yeah, they just aren't educated enough.
That's the problem, Mark.
It was a mistake. And once they find out, they'll be horrified as you are.
Yeah. Yeah, once they...
I guess it's weird when you don't want to pay for a studio audience that you got to have like your own laugh tracks. Oh, crush that one. So in fairness to rich Hollywood liberal elite celebrities, although Mark Ruffalo seems to be one of the few people who actually does use his Twitter account to talk about like what is happening to the Wet'suwet'en or to support Bernie Sanders or talking about the war crimes of Israel, stuff like that. He's basically pointing out that while yes, they are neoliberal and they do neoliberal policies, I don't know if you think you understand what neoliberalism is actually accomplishing, like how it's continuously funneling money into the hands of the very few. The more unregulation or deregulation of the markets we do, and certainly only to the benefit of the corporations that trade within those markets and can control the markets. So the markets should be actually more regulated, and there should be larger social safety nets. This is not a really good way to do business, kind of thing.
Find out what's really going on.
Hey, Mark Ruffalo just said we're a bunch of lying, thieving gangsters. Did you hear about this?
So that's Mark trying. He's trying. He gets a lot of things wrong. Like the Ukraine war, he gets it wrong at the top of his lungs at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And it's super disappointing.
Why do you put so much stock in celebrities, Jimmy? Who cares if the Hulk agrees with your weird ass fucking conspiratorial takes? Did Mark Ruffalo not tweet out that like every single Ukrainian is a Nazi? Is that what you wanted? Did you want him to make a whole bunch of all of Ukraine? It's just Stalin Nazis, you know? Anyways, catch the Hulk doing a cameo in the next series of She-Hulk. Like
those people in Ukraine are being used as cannon fodder, Mark. And you should get your head out of your Hollywood ass. Because when you're advocating, if you're trying to pretend that all Russia has to do is leave, that's making it worse for the Ukrainians. You're not helping. Do you know how this war started? Do you know Ukraine was bombing the Donbass for 8 straight years?
God.
Do you know that?
I've heard that Russian talking.
Of course, you're going to be fucking doing gray zone style shit. Awesome. Amazing. Cool stuff.
Point.
Yeah. So here he is. So he's doing some good here.
And by the way, the Ukrainians are being used as cannon fodder. Like, if you want to put an argument forward that as the military-industrial complex of the United States, from their perspective, this is an opportunity for them to sell vast amounts of weaponry and also weaken one of their opponents, which would be Russia, without having to sacrifice American lives, that's a very different narrative than the Ukrainians don't want that support or help, and without it, they probably would still be in the same position they are today. Those are two incredibly different things.
But he does it in a kind of a mealy-mouthed way here. Hey, they don't educate themselves. Yeah, that's what it is, Mark. Jesus Christ. Wall Street is a big source of campaign cash for Democrats.
It is? Thanks for educating me, Mark.
Wow, see? This is the kind
of... Is that where this cash came from?
Oil and gas companies are donating more to Democrats.
Doesn't surprise me. They keep
health insurance and pharma lobbyists max out to the Democratic Party. So this is all common. So this is what people used to know since the time of Bernie. So that's what we all agreed.
Has Mark Ruffalo been a huge fan of these two, of the corporate Democrats? Am I missing something? He was supporting Bernie Sanders fully, and he usually supports progressive alternatives to the corporate Democrats. Yeah.
Upon all the stuff that
the biggest difference between the two is you can point directly to a lot of the progressives, especially the ones that are associated with Bernie Sanders, do grassroots fundraising. They don't want to have corporate donors, super PACs, outside interests. That's what separates them from the corporate Democrats, who, again, yes, are in the hands of a multitude of lobbies. Not just these two, by the way. The tech industry lobbies through Schumer, and it's one of the reasons why every single time it's like, oh, there's going to be maybe an antitrust bill that comes along, or maybe there's going to be a new bill that actually reins in big tech. And it's like, no, because that's not what they want.
Democrats were no different than the Republicans. We got to oppose both of them. But now they've gone back to pre-Bernie times. I'm talking about the people who were Bernie fans. And Bernie himself has regressed.
We're somehow back to Obama.
We're back to...
How has Bernie regressed? You've just gone more extreme. I think that's all that's been happening. But no, Bernie Sanders is one of the few people who's consistently championed a whole bunch of left-wing issues. Unionization support, union busting and going after it, the huge wealth discrepancies that continue to happen, windfall taxes, trying to increase the minimum wage. That's all coming out of Bernie Sanders' mouth. You wouldn't have those kind of issues being something that most Americans talk about without a politician like Bernie Sanders bringing that to the forefront.
Blue is better than red. Abhorrent and anti-democratic outrage as DNC panel blocks vote. You know what leads to fascism? When you don't give people health care. You know what leads to fascism? When you don't give people a living wage. You know what leads to fascism? When you don't take care of homelessness or the mentally ill. You know what leads to fascism?
Disastrous wars that never end.
Yeah.
Like, do you think the Republicans are looking to meet the occasion there, Jimmy? Do you think the Republicans are sitting waiting right now and just like, oh, well, once we're in power, we're going to help the people out to prevent this whole fascism thing? Not we're like openly advocating for a lot of fascistic shit, like going after marginalized communities. Yeah, that's what the fascists do. The liberals, they don't meet the occasion. That's a fair call out. It is true. They absolutely don't. They don't go far enough. All these neoliberal policies destroy people, destroy the economy, destroy the average worker. And yes, that leads to a fertile ground where fascism can rise. But the fascists are over there because they're saying the fascist shit out loud. They're like, we're proud Christian nationalists now. Hey, remember anti-Semitism? Well, apparently we all got the pass or something, so we can just say the parts out loud. Yeah, well, feels great now. We can finally say out loud that the Jews control everything. We don't have to say the elites or the cabal, or we don't have to talk about the globalists. We can just outsay it. Well, or we could keep trying to flirt with just using Soros as the only billionaire we always talk about. It always seems to be the same person. That's George Soros.
When you have $1 trillion wars a year instead of investing that money in your own country, that's what leads to fascism. When governments fail, that's what leads to fascism. That's what led people to vote for Donald Trump, because they voted for Barack Obama twice and their lives got worse. So
for voters who are disillusioned with the political system, yeah, there's no question that you can lay at the hands of the Democrats a complete failure through multiple administrations, as well as continuing a lot of the worst policies of the American empire, increasing funding for the military-industrial complex, increasing the size of the police state, increasing the size of the monitoring state, increasing the size of both, what the United States is doing on a global scale, and destroying multiple countries as a result for corporate interests. That's all stuff you can levy at them. But to continuously lump every single Democrat into some category that they're just all a monolith. There's no exceptions. Even Bernie Sanders, he used to be the good one, but he's regressing, I think. I don't know. I haven't really followed what he's been doing lately. I think maybe he said something about supporting Ukraine, so obviously he's no longer a leftist.
Oh, look, it looks like Nina Turner.
Look at these two.
Abhorrent and anti-democratic outrage as DNC panel blocks vote on dark money ban. So they won't even have a vote on it.
Did you read the bottom, Jimmy? Did you know what this event is for? Nina Turner and Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez appeared together at July 24, 2021 campaign event in Cleveland. Why are you like, you see who's here, huh? In the DNC panel vote picture? I think this is Congress, I'm pretty sure.
You're so close, Mark.
I know.
That's my favorite. You're so close, Mark. But he caught shit for that. So then people gave him a hard time. Mark Ruffalo is the Susan Sarandon of Cynthia Nixon's.
You'd have to be a little more educated for that.
So if you try to call out the corruption in the Democratic Party, that's not a critique. I don't even know what that means. I read it probably 10 times.
Another Bernie cultist attacking the DNC while he's got a Ukraine flag. And what is that? I'm gay is Zionist or something?
I don't know.
What? I'm a gay Zionist? Just the start. What are you talking about? What makes it gay?
What that is, but yeah, he says Mark Ruffalo. So he's now, because Mark Ruffalo told the truth, a very mild one.
Mm-hmm.
They go right at him. These are Democratic apologists. What happened? Have admired him. What happened? What happened? What happened?
This is some kind of
another Bernie cultist attacking the DNC. Bernie cultists. What? This person?
This seems like such a weird thing for you to go after. Is it just because like this is your audience now? Like I know his videos are mostly anti-vax, pro-Putin stuff. American Teachers Union abandons Americans. Cops are gonna cop. Codify this. Propagandist rewarded. Damn you, America. French president lashes out. I'm in the MCU. I'm only in it for the money. Sensitivity run amok. Halloween canceled by woke school administrators. This is one of the, I can't show it because Jackson Hinkle's on screen, but this is honestly one of the weirdest like interviews I've seen. Well, actually, I could put the Trump face on. In this one, they're talking about how Halloween was canceled because one school basically didn't want to have Halloween because they thought it wasn't like inclusionary for people who didn't want to wear costumes. It was a school. It wasn't like a town or a city being like, you can no longer celebrate Halloween. But anyways, weird thing to be outraged. And they're like, so Halloween's been canceled. Cancel culture came for Halloween. Also super strange. The actual mural, as I'll show you the thing. This is a separate story, by the way.
Be the overly religious people, I think. Let's watch this.
And we begin tonight with the controversial painting by a Grant High School student. It's on a wall in the middle school building, and tonight some parents complained to the school board about its messages. 13 on your side's Nate Belt was at tonight's meeting and has details.
I put my art up there to make people feel welcomed.
That's how Grant High School student Evelyn Gonzalez describes this mural. She painted it inside the middle school's Teen Health Center, and parents are concerned about some of its content. Now, this here is the mural in question that was a hot topic tonight at the school board meeting here at Grant Middle School. Now, some of the things that the parents were closely paying attention to included the trans flag on this t-shirt here, this symbol, which the artist says comes from a video game, as well as this symbol here, which she says is a Hispanic sign of protection.
I feel like she did a really good job finding excuses to defend the things she put on. None of us are that.
What's wrong with that? Hyper-conservative Christians are not very happy with any of those things.
Stupid.
Parents allege
But what gets weirder about this is that, so Jimmy's about to bring on Jackson Hinkle. And Jackson Hinkle is supposed to come onto this segment to agree with Jimmy that this is equally ridiculous as the libs. So he's doing this, he's both sides in this one. So he does this thing where it's like, look, the libs are like being hypersensitive because they said they don't want to have Halloween celebrations in the school because they're all a bunch of fucking snowflakes, blah, blah, blah. And Jackson's like, yeah, bro, cucks, snowflakes, cucks. And then, so that was part one. And then part two is the, hey, look at the far right Christian conservatives also being kind of outrageous about this. But Jackson actually kind of agrees with the Christian conservatives because of the devil stuff, and so it makes for this really weird, awkward pause between the two of them.
Video game character is actually a depiction of Satan, and that the hand symbol is demonic, with several even using the word witchcraft to describe it.
That's not what I'm a part of, and that's not what I'm trying to put out there.
As for the transgender flag, one parent implied it's a sickness.
When adults pretend things that are like real life, it's a mental illness. We need counselors. We need the medication that's going to help bipolar disorder, fix their brains.
Hinkle. So there you have both ends of the political spectrum equally mental.
Yeah.
Like, just okay, so I was like, what is going on? Weird long ass pause where Jackson's obviously supposed to, like, it's the tee up. It's what all these shows are like, right? And it's like, all right, Hinkle, take it away. You know, same thing with like TYT does it when I come onto a power panel. It's like, Lance, what do you think about that? And then it's like, well, I'm gonna give you my spin. Might be a little bit more extreme because everyone likes to play within their own bounds, right? But in this one, Hinkle's kind of like, it's like, yeah.
The whole thing's a little weird, but
what, that drawing of that devil thing?
Why is there a devil on the painting?
I don't know. It was from a video game. Who gives a shit? I don't care. Do you mind a devil painting? I don't give a fuck. It's in the Bible. I got a picture of the devils in the Bible.
Yeah.
You're trying.
Like, I don't know if this is because that's how far gone Jackson is, or he's worried about his own audience. You know, maybe like the Rumble crowd is gonna get a little pissed off or something, and like they've gone into like the full, like, you know, far right Christian nationalism shit. So at this point, it's kind of like, well, I mean, satanic symbols aren't something that I can downplay because the devil is inside of all of us. But hey, he does not waste a second going and ramping up into full transphobia now.
Don't you dare. Don't you fucking dare, Jackson.
Listen, I'm just happy that we canceled Halloween. Can I be happy about that? Now we have time for we have time for the drag shows, and we have time for the, you know, the genital mutilation surgeries for our kids.
Jackson, you gotta open your mind. You gotta open your mind. I don't get it. But I'm for the mural.
Then just like the most cowardly backup of that joke, though. That was a 1-2. He teed him up, and then he's like, you just don't get it. You don't get it. Let's not go too far here.
And what's the first story? And I'm for Halloween.
I just want to wait.
Oh, and now we get to listen to Jimmy Dore's wife talk about sexy girls in high school.
In on this, you know, like I remember when I went to, I can't believe they haven't canceled Halloween in schools before now. Because when I went to high school, I remember girls dressing up in Playboy bunny costumes.
Yes.
Do you remember that? It couldn't have been more provocative. Everybody in this room has seen those women, those young girls.
Well,
they looked hot.
I had a
those
rule.
girls looked hot in high school wearing these.
What is going on? What is happening? I mean, you've all seen them. And you're Jimmy Dore's like, yes. Well, I had a rule. Yeah, I had a rule. Let's rewind the tape, because I was equally. It's like, what the fuck is happening right now?
I had a rule.
Those girls looked hot in high school wearing these Playboy bunny things. I can't get over. And I was an educator for over 20 years. I couldn't stand Halloween during.
Wait, so because you were just watching all these hot girls running around in the Playboy outfits? What's your rule, Jimmy? Why didn't you elaborate on that part? Well, I had a rule.
It was like kind of crazy and hectic, and really it's just like it dominated the school day completely.
Yeah, one day, big fuck.
You know, but
let those sexy teens be sexy. These are stories in elementary schools, by the way, you weirdos. Anyways, that's all I had on what the hell is going on. But when I did see that, I was like, what the hell is going on? Do you enjoy the Serfs but prefer not to have to use your eyeballs? Many are saying this. Well, we've got the solution for you. It's the Serf Times in podcast form. Available on most major podcasting networks now. If you enjoy it, please consider leaving a good review and feedback, because it really helps the show out, apparently, and it's free, just like the podcast.
To our gods, Xander Corvus and Peyton L. Juste, we shall spend many a generations building mighty cathedrals in your honor. To our monarch, Tom Spiker, we are but your oafish jesters, here to offer you a laugh at any opportunity. To our brave knights of the Round Table, Rachel K., Izzy Solidarity, Victoria Bell, Sebastian Demmel, Mark Harmon, Benji Arney, Scary Earthhuman, Tony, DM Rivera, Resident Scarecrow, Sir Nickus, Cheryl Alvarez, Ruby Kelly, Brandon, Words Greenwood, Everything Important, Hegbert Celine, Matthew Scarborough, Stellar Vision, Ariane McCarthy, Doug Cady, Daniel Sutton, Jenna Tao, Dark Puppy, Quiet One 85, Anna Loves Riley, Omni, Riley and Anna, Poodlehawk, Multimondi, Trevbot EXE, Brian Ephraim, Anthropophojack, Catherine, Ramon Acosta, Nkosin, Ralph Parler, Violent Orchard, Political Puppy, La Media Panza, Todd Buckingham, and Todd La Jeunesse. We salute our valiant heroes off to fight injustice everywhere.